The following is a fan-based discussion, and all materials being discussed are owned by Toei and Subaraya Productions. I claim no ownership to the materials being discussed and is purely fan opinion. Hello everyone and welcome back to TFX First Impressions. Today I'll be talking about my first impressions on the first 5 episodes of the new Kamen Rider season, Kamen Rider Zeztz. By the time this video goes up, episode 6 will have already been out. This is my first Kamen Rider first impressions, so now I have done one for all 3 major Toku franchises, Super Sentai, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider. For some of you, you can watch all 5 episodes on YouTube as it's a simulcast, but it is blocked in some countries though, so there's that. Now, my original plan was to do this after 4 episodes, because that's when we got the opening and the opening visuals, but personal life got in the way, so now I'm doing 5 episodes instead. We've heard the opening play at the end of the first 3 episodes, but episode 4 is when it actually plays as an opening, like at the beginning of the episode. Speaking of the opening, I like it. It's not Geats or X8 level, but it's definitely a good one. Also, this is the first Kamen Rider opening to have most of the lyrics be in English, which I'm not complaining. I like that a lot. It definitely fits this show. Next is the suit. This is the first rider whose driver is a sash rather than a belt, and I like that. It's never been done before. The suit itself, I really like it. It's like a modern version of Kamen Rider Ichigo because of the color scheme, and the way it lights up is so cool since the first fight is at night. Now onto the show. I'm liking this show so much, and since I mentioned X8 and Geats earlier, I'm excited as to where this show is going because this show's head writer is Yuya Takahashi, who was also the head writer for X8 and Geats, along with Zero One. I loved all 3. Zero One not as much, but it was still good, so yeah, that's one positive thing. Anyways, onto the show itself. I'll mention this first. The reason why the opening is not played in the first 3 episodes is because the first 3 episodes essentially serve as the pilot episodes of this show where it introduces the characters, the premise, and some important plot elements that will come up in the future. In the beginning of the first episode, it's at night, and celebrity Nemu-chan has been kidnapped, and before she can be killed, she's freed by a lackey who is actually a man known as Code Number 7, an agent from the secret organization Code, which stands for the Confidential Organized Defensive Establishment. He defeats the criminals in a gunfight using rubber bullets, and man, this shooting scene is amazing. This whole show just gives off James Bond vibes, and I'm so here for it because the man is code number 7, and what is James Bond known as? 007. You know what's even more amazing? The cast names appearing during this, like with a few of them appearing on bullet casings. What the actual hell? That's so cool. He manages to save Nemu, and just when they're about to kiss, someone shouts at him to wake up. It turns out that was a dream, and the dreamer is Yorzubaku, our main character for this show. He wants to become an agent, as shown by all the spy movies and posters in his room. In some ways, this is similar to W, except that W is a detective, while this is a spy, as the episodes in this show are called cases. He gets to be an agent in his dreams because he's a lucid dreamer, which means he knows that he's dreaming, and as such, he can control his dreams at will. In real life, he's a kind-hearted man and wants to help people, like he does as Seven. However, whenever he does this in real life, it always backfires. Why? Because he has extremely bad luck, like Ryotaro from Deno, except worse. Because we saw this dude at the end of Gav, and he got zapped by a UFO. Not only that, there's this scene where you see past reports about him being struck by lightning, attacked by a shark, and struck by a meteorite. It's amazing that he's still alive. He looks different in real life compared to him as Seven with the different eye color and the cowlick, which is something that you can get after waking up. So far, I like him. He's an interesting protagonist. We also meet his younger sister, Minami, who lives with him, and she's the one with the job. It makes sense given her brother's misfortunes whenever she tries to help someone, and helping people pretty much applies to every job. In fact, when he tries to help a little girl who was led away by a man, he passes this mysterious individual before getting hit by a car with no driver inside. This individual is Nox, who we know very little about in terms of who he is and what his endgame is, but we know he's trying to turn people's nightmares into reality. And I'll say this, the red practical effect whenever he appears is so good, which really helps to show that people in the real world can't see him. During this, we meet two more of the main cast with Fujimi Tetsuya and Nagumo Nasaka, who, for those of you who have seen Geats, you would know her as Kamen Rider Lopo, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they made her a Kamen Rider in this show. These two are part of the Paranormal Affairs Division in the Public Security Bureau, with Fujimi being the head. Essentially, there have been numerous mysterious unsolved cases dubbed as black cases, and no, I'm not kidding, that's the name they came up with. Now, these two have conflicting beliefs because Nagumo doesn't believe in the nightmares being behind these cases, nightmares being the kaijins of this show. This reminds me of a similar dynamic in Ghost, but done so much better. Let's get into the chase scene. Baku meets and is chased by the gun nightmare. The way it's dark and there's nobody there. The location constantly switches since the nightmares also have the ability to manipulate dreams like Baku can. Man, this scene is so freaky, which again makes sense. This is a nightmare. Also, the way Baku's heart stops in real life because the things that happen in the dream world is more or less reflected in real life. Then Baku gets dragged into a room, aka the code base, which is Baku's subconsciousness, and gets the Zeztz driver. Also, the name Zeztz has three Zs because it's associated with sleeping. He transforms into Zeztz and man aura farming. This fight is just so cool with the red moon and the finisher going from 777 to Zeztz. That's awesome. This also sets up a connection between him and Fujimi because Baku wakes up in the real world with the driver, which Fujimi sees as well. Now, so far, this show seems to be going the two-parter route because besides the first episode, every mission so far has been a two-parter, like episodes 2 and 3. The mission is to stop the bomber. A lot of the main future plot elements are set up in these two episodes. Baku can access the code base through his closet, and Commander Zero, who we briefly saw in the first episode, talks to Baku through a robot that he remotely controls. I love how Baku as 7 is very proficient in English, but he can't understand English in real life. So then Zero talks to him in Japanese. Baku's duty is to infiltrate people's dreams and prevent the nightmares from manifesting in the real world, because once they do, the dreamer won't be able to wake up again. Basically, Baku has to find out who the dreamer is, and in this case, it's Fujimi. Because earlier, he and Baku pretty much bonded immediately because they had the same dream. Of course, normally it wouldn't be this way because a dream is created from a person's subconscious. And obviously, no two people in the world will have the exact same subconscious. I love the joke that Zero plays on Baku where the robot gets down on all four limbs and makes Baku ride him without actually turning into the bike form. That was so funny. Also, that bike chase scene was awesome. Always nice to see. However, we also see how high the stakes are in this because we're introduced to something called the mind's doors, which are these doors located in the dreamer's subconscious. The dreamer's subconscious essentially appears in the form of a room, which is accessed by a door that is located somewhere important to the dreamer. For example, with Fujimi, he's the head of the Paranormal Affairs Division, and he essentially operates in a truck, so the entry point is in the truck. The way the doors work is that behind the door lies a bad dream desired by the dreamer, which they may not even know they want it to happen because this is their subconscious. With Fujimi, when the Paranormal Affairs Division got disbanded, he subconsciously wanted the police headquarters to be destroyed, which the bomb nightmare will then create this result, and it succeeds. When the nightmare creates the bad dream, the door will open. And if all of the doors open, then the nightmare will be able to manifest in the real world. In the dream world, the nightmare basically opens up like a door, and the dreamer walks into it, and then in the real world, the person becomes the host for the nightmare, which is how it manifests in the real world. However, the trouble isn't over because then the red moon, which usually only appears in the dream world, then appears in the real world, and we see these purple butterflies going around infecting people. I love how high the stakes are set here because, like secret agents, Baku has to work fast, and to minimize the damage, he has to kill the nightmare in the dream world. Which another thing that I like is that when the nightmare is killed, it snores before disintegrating and turning into a purple butterfly. We see Baku transforming and fighting in the real world, which I definitely like, because it shows him picking up some of the skills and courage he has as Seven, because him in the dream world is completely different to him in the real world. I like how in the first three episodes we haven't gotten a new form. Like, he has gotten a new capsule, which are the henshin items in this show, but it grants a new ability instead of a new form. Like, he gets the transform capsule and it turns him, let's face it, into Luffy with the stretchy limbs. Something that is worth mentioning about the nightmares is that so far every nightmare seems to be the antithesis of the dreamer. Like the gun nightmare is the opposite of Baku, because Baku uses a gun as an agent, but he doesn't kill. The bomb nightmare is the opposite of Fujimi's role as a police officer. And the crow nightmare, which is the one that appears in episodes 4 and 5, is the opposite of the bride, because the bride is scared of heights, while the crow can fly. For this one, basically the bride fell from a tree when she was a kid, which caused her to develop a fear of heights. By this point, Fujimi and Nagumo finds the secret code room in Baku's closet. We don't really know much about Nemu or Nox so far. Nemu so far has played a different role in each dream so far, like with the first episode, she's a kidnapped celebrity. With the bomber case, she's a police chief. And with the bride case, she's a wedding planner. Outside of that, we don't really know much about her, and Nox, we have seen him around, but his identity is still very much a mystery. And I like that because you don't want to reveal too much about them at the start. Although some people have theorized that Nemu and Nox may have some sort of connection with each other based on one part of the opening visuals. I guess we'll see. Overall, I'm liking this show a lot so far, and I'm very excited as to where this show is going. This show's theme is really vibing with me because one theme or motif that I really enjoy watching is imagination, like with Ultraman Arc, for example. Dreams you can think of as imagination because lucid dreamers create their own dream world based on what they imagine. Anyways, this show has been very fun so far, and I really have enjoyed watching this show on a weekly basis. Not just because this is the first Kamen Rider season that I'm watching as it airs. Anyways, this just about sums up my thoughts so far on Kamen Rider Zeztz. What do you guys think of Kamen Rider Zeztz so far? Are you liking it or are you not liking it? Feel free to talk about it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Follow me on my social and stay tuned for the next video. Bye everybody!